Anyway, hi. So I'm here from MAP. It's really great to be here, and thank you, Marco, for inviting me. And it's a really fantastic program of events. I'm one of the last three, so you're nearly out of here. I'm just going to wait for them to restart their presentation. Great. So MAP is a strategy-led industrial design group. We're based in London's Tech City, right in the middle of this map here. We work with a lot of startups in Tech City, and we're kind of a startup ourselves. We've only been going for a couple of years. Studio is in this very vibrant area of Shoreditch, and we share a studio with Barber Osgerby and Universal Design Studio. So we have furniture design, architecture, and product design going on in the same studio. So one thing that's really nice is alongside the product designers at MAP working on products, there are furniture designers sculpting really fantastic forms for Barber Osgerby and working on limited edition art pieces. And as the MAP designers are pushing millimeters around on industrial design projects, you've got architects dealing with large-scale projects, looking at materials, looking at pieces of stone and raw material. And I absolutely love working in a studio with all these things going on in parallel, because I think it kind of contributes to the overall cross-pollination between different design disciplines. So our clients consist of some very large, well-known brands, plus startups and agencies, including Kano, that you saw from Alex earlier. And then big brands that behave like startups, such as Google. I'll show you a project that we did for Google. It's called Web Lab, and it was in the Science Museum in London. And it's all about the power of the internet. So we created some experiments, physical experiments, that you could interact with physically in the museum, or you could connect with online. So for instance, musical instruments that you could play in the museum, and then you could connect to remotely and play, and jam together with people, or a robot that would take your photo in the museum and draw it in sand. And all these things were about explaining the power of the internet to change people. And very much a making process behind creating these, together with a wide range of other agencies. So I've called the talk Designers Who Make Things. There's no doubt that in our studio, we have designers who love making things themselves. And that's kind of the ethos of the studio. So designers all love to get in the workshop and make things out of foam, make things out of card. And it's this kind of physical making that I think helps us to create really fantastic products. If you have a product in your hand and you're making a rough model of it and you're sanding it or you're cutting it, it helps you to understand that product and help you to understand that form and develop it. It's not just about making things, though. I think there's a kind of an ethos about making which exists in our studio. So it's about getting things done. And if you apply that approach of making to everything we do, it helps us to create really fantastic products. So I've got 4 thoughts, really. There are 4 snapshots from projects that are in the studio at the moment on various states of completion. And the thoughts are really aspects of our process that we use, that we've developed with startups, that we're now applying to our work with big brands as well. So the first one is engage in design early. So an example of this is a brand we're working with called Insensi. We're developing a smart device for them. And the guy on the top left, Ilan Abusera, he's a kind of serial entrepreneur. He'd started a company called Productive, which was acquired by Jive. And while he was working at Jive, he had a great idea for a hardware startup and started talking to people about it. And I actually was introduced to him, and I met him in Palo Alto. We met up in this cafe called Cafe Venetia. We sat and had a coffee at the bar, and we talked about his idea. And the discussion went on the lines of, he had some funding, he had the idea, but he hadn't left his current job, and he hadn't started his startup. And so I talked about, well, why don't we start designing this thing for you so that by the time you get your team together, by the time you start your company, you've already got the design there. So he's now pulled this team of fantastic collaborators together, and they've got their studio in New York. And 4 weeks ago, they got together, but we've actually been working on the project for 3 months. So, and we've reached the point in the design process, in the product design process, that we're making a physical model of our design. And needless to say, although we love rapid prototyping, you know, we get a great deal of joy out of working with physical model makers, making things by machining, by sanding, by cutting. It gives us the opportunity for our designers to go and intervene in that process. And that helps to shape and craft the products. So the second point I was going to make is about co-creation. We're working on a project at the moment with another agency called AKQA. They're a digital marketing agency. They're one of the biggest in the world. And we're putting together a team to create a product that's going to be part of a campaign they're doing. And the really interesting thing is when we get in the room together, you know, we develop this product together, and we sort of use meetings, and then we use tools like Slack to communicate. And we're all pitching in with ideas, regardless of what our roles are. We're all pitching into the project. And periodically, we run these sort of hackathons or design-a-thons where we actually do the creation process kind of live with the client. So we've got designers, we've got technologists, we have model makers, and we have the client there all working together side by side in a room, putting design work on paper and making physical things and experimenting. And I think it's this kind of cross-pollination that creates really fantastic projects. John Mader had a really fantastic quote about it. He said, you know, let designers code and let coders design. So another aspect of our work which I think is really important is story. We're working with a startup called Sabi. It's actually a 4-year-old startup. And their first product was a range of pill containers for the aging demographic, designed by Fuse Project in California. And Asaf Wand, the founder of Sabi, came to us and said, I want you to do the second range to follow up on this. And the only brief was that it had to be for the home, and it had to sit with the same aging demographic as the current products. So the first thing we wanted to do is we wanted to get our heads around the aging population. So we read all the available research. And after reading all these research documents, we thought we had a really good understanding of what the story was here. You know, we thought the story was about reaching, it was about eyesight, it was about memory. We thought we can build, you know, that's something we can build a story around to create some new products. But to check that, we went out and actually spoke to people. So we went and spent a day in the home of somebody in this aging demographic. And it was the designers who were going to work on the project that did this, not researchers. And in talking to these people, we realized that we weren't going to create a really fantastic value proposition by making a slightly better tool for reaching cups from a high cupboard. We actually thought is that, yes, eyesight, reaching, and memory were things that they had that were problems. But really what they talked about, what their story was, and what we wanted to build a story around, were different things. It was about products that didn't have stigma, so they were designed universally for everybody. They didn't feel like they were designed for old people. It was about empowering people to do what they wanted to do with their lives. And it was actually about quick fixes to problems that people had around the home. So there's no better quick fix than sticky tape. And the product that we designed in the end was based on a peg which fixes on the wall using a 3M tape. And off that peg, you can hang a range of accessories. So whether it's a rail to hang some clothes on, or a shower caddy, or a mirror, or a shelf, towel hoop, they're all products that this aging demographic told us that they wanted around their home. And I think in this case, the story was not so much about what we put in, but it was what we took out. So in designing something very simple and very clean for this demographic, we've created a universal product. So the last thing I want to talk about is how we share. We're working with an agency called Made by Many at the moment on a connected toy, which they've codenamed Hackable. They came to us with the idea and they wanted us to help with the design. And what's really interesting is we're trying to get really rapidly to market with this. I mean, technology products, you have to get rapidly to market. So rather than doing presentations, we actually use Tumblr. So we share our work every day or every other day on Tumblr. and all the partners and all the collaborators in the project and the stakeholders can be simultaneously up to date with the current status of the project. So when you combine that together with video calling and tools like Slack and other collaborative tools, you create a very rapid and quick development process which enables you to get to market very quickly. So just to recap, these are my beliefs of what you need to do if you're a startup to get to market quickly with the product. So engage in design early, create fantastic stories around your products, co-create and involve everybody in the team, whatever their discipline is, and share constantly and share early. If you want to find out about these products and how they end up, don't look for us on this Twitter handle. Unfortunately, this guy got it first, and he's got way more followers than us anyway. So you can find Map here. Twitter handle's @MapProjectO. Thank you very much.